Welcome to Collecting Consciousness, where we aim to capture the ever-expanding and evolving conscious creations that originate from the minds of fellow podcasters, strangers, dear friends, and loved ones.
In this podcast, we will expand on our inner wisdom and a coming home to self. From our conscious minds to yours, we welcome you to the Collecting Consciousness.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Collecting Consciousness. And today is going to be a little different of an episode. It's going to be a solo episode. So I, Bethany, will just be chatting with you about something that is really on the forefront of my mind and really holding a big place in my heart right now. So I invite you to join me on this little episode all about something personal that I am going through in life and some perspectives and some information that might enlighten you or that maybe you just want to learn about. But just seeing where this lands for you. So I think it's a little weird doing this by myself because usually I'm chit chatting with Courtney. So just bear with me through the awkwardness of just chatting alone to myself in the camera or to you all. But it feels a little less personal when I can't see you. So I think what we'll do is just start off by dropping in to our bodies real quickly. So, taking this moment, if you are able to close your eyes, I invite you to close your eyes with me, allowing your eyelids to rest softly and gently down. And if you are not able to do this, if you're driving or walking or doing anything in life that prohibits you from closing your eyes, I invite you to just take a pause in your mind, just to enter into a place of focused awareness. And allowing our focused awareness to first tune into our bodies, tuning into your shoulders, your neck. Can you soften these areas any bit more? Can you allow the shoulders to relax a little bit down the back, away from the ears? And can you soften your belly, allowing the tension to just melt away? And as we soften our bellies, can we bring our breath a little deeper? Can we allow our breath to fill this space? And as it fills this space on the inhale, allowing it to expand our chest and our lungs. And as we get to the top of our inhale, maybe pausing here for just a moment to allow yourself to feel the stillness that is available to you at all times. And as you're ready, allowing a soft exhale out with a sigh. Let's try this one more time. So, softening the belly a bit more, allowing the inhale to fill the belly, allowing the inhale to then expand the chest, allowing the chest to puff up nice and big and full of this fresh breath. And as we get to the top of our inhales, holding it for just a moment, experiencing the stillness that is available to us in each and every breath. And on the exhale, giving a gentle sigh, allowing the chest to really fall and the belly to sink back in. And then last breath here, a nice inhale, softening the belly, allowing the belly to become bigger than it's been in each and every breath, allowing the chest to puff up as big as it can. Filling till you feel like you cannot fill anymore with breath, and then pausing at the top for a moment of stillness. And then exhale, sighing it all out, allowing the shoulders to relax even more, allowing the tension that might have been along your neck to melt away. And now I invite you to just return to your normal breath, allowing the breath to enter and exit the body at its normal rhythm without any force, without any judgment. And I want you to, or I invite you to bring one hand or both hands over your heart space, connecting us to the most powerful center for creation in our bodies. And as we connect to this powerful center of creation, I want us to just soften into some gratitude. So, feeling the essence of gratitude start to fill your heart space. Maybe you feel grateful for the ability to listen to this podcast. Maybe you feel grateful that you even woke up today. Maybe you feel grateful because the sun is shining on your face. Maybe you feel grateful for that delicious cup of coffee or tea that you had this morning. Maybe you feel grateful for the laughter that you shared with a friend or a family member, a loved one. Maybe you feel grateful for that furry friend in your life that brings you so much joy and happiness. Whatever you can find that enlivens that sense of gratitude within your heart, I ask you to find it. And together, we allow this gratitude to fill our heart space, to expand our heart space, allowing it to expand so big that it leaves our body and it starts to enter into the world around us. Allowing this gratitude, this feeling of gratitude to expand so big that we are all connected now in one giant, beautiful bubble of gratitude. Experiencing the expansiveness that gratitude can offer us. And sitting here for just a moment to bask in this beautiful energy. From my heart to yours today and every day, I welcome you to another episode of Collecting Consciousness. May these words land in a place of receptiveness and open mindedness. May your hearts be filled with love and your minds be filled with curiosity. And as we are ready to enter back into a space together, I invite you to bring a gentle smile to the corners of your mouth and then begin to gently blink your eyes open. Thank you for being here today. And I guess a good place to start is my gratitude for this journey called life and the fact that we are gifted with this complex human body to experience this life in. So, as much as I am about the spirit and the spirit world and, you know, all the astral stuff that's out there, I am also very rooted in the physical body. And if you listen to the first episode, you might know that I am a nurse by profession. So there is definitely a deep thread in my being and my consciousness that desires to know and to learn about the human body. And that is something that I definitely can't deny. I have felt that way since I entered college and they asked me to pick a science because I didn't know what I wanted to study. They said, pick a science. What would you like to study? And I'm like, well, and so they're, probably listing off anatomy. I'm sorry, biology, um, chemistry. Like, I don't even know what else was out there. Organic biology, organic chem, I'm not sure. But, anyways, I landed in the seat of anatomy and physiology by choice. And from the minute that I started that coursework, knew that this learning it feels like an endless learning journey with the human body was like definitely my jam. Like I loved it. I ate it all up. Learned, what you learn in anatomy and physiology, which is just like the basis terminology for the body and how it all functions and works together, which is super cool, super beneficial information, especially as you traverse through life with a human body. It's so cool to be able to say you're having a problem, you're having an ailment, you're having something go wrong in your body, being able to digest the information that's out there regarding your human body, it's really helpful to have that base knowledge of an anatomy and physiology course. So I guess if that's something that resonates with you, if you have a local community college that you could take an anatomy and physiology and that some pings some curiosity inside of your consciousness right now, and that sounds like something that, oh, that would be kind of interesting. Definitely a cool thing to do so that you get a really solid framework for what is what this information is that you're taking in regarding whatever health condition you may be dealing with in life. So I'll preface with all that. So I've always had this like very big curiosity, interest, was like a sponge when it came to learning about the human body, and it has not shifted, it has not changed. It's only expanded, it's only evolved, and it only definitely it is definitely the strongest thread in my day-to-day life right now. So that is why I'm choosing to talk to you guys about something personal that I'm going through currently. It is definitely on the forefront of my mind and my heart. So I felt like I should share it with you, and you may find some resonance for you in this conversation about specifically what I'm going through with my health. And if not, maybe it's just educational and you know a friend or you know a loved one that you would love to share this information with. But either way, I'd like to share something with you all regarding my human body that I am currently going through. So, I am 37 years old and I'm a female, obviously. And at around age 15, I would say, I became sexually active, and no shade on anybody for, my mom, the healthcare system, everybody is just truly trying to operate from what they believe is the best thing for our bodies. Now, where those beliefs come from, um, is I think the source of the problem. But we'll digress into that later. But anyways, at age 15, I was put on birth control and I was put on an oral contraceptive, a pill. And I took that pill pretty steadily until I was about 22. And then at 22, well, actually, I took that pill consistently for birth control until age 22. At 22, I had a copper IUD placed, thinking, my mind was already thinking, oh, I really want to do something more natural. I had kind of shifted into taking some ownership over my body at that point and also started down this path of more natural ways of interacting with medicine and my body. And so I thought, okay, I would love to do something more natural for birth control. I but I don't want well, actually, at that time, I don't think anybody even around me had approached me about doing, like, fertility tracking or, fertility awareness method. So that wasn't even on my radar at that point, was, like, at all learning about my fertility. So this is 22 years old, which was back in, let's see, I'm 37, so 15 years ago. So now I'm gonna do quick math and embarrass myself. So 2000 and, like, 10-ish? Is that the right math? Oh gosh. Is that the right, okay, it might not be the right math, but it was right around 2009, 2010, just because I know in my lifetime where that was taking place. So anyways, math was definitely not a strong suit of mine. And mom, if you're listening to this, you could attest. So anywho, I thought I would get that copper IUD. Thought that would be a great place to help myself. So got the copper IUD put in around 22 years old, had that in for 7 years. And so around 29, I got that taken out and I was put back on the pill. And I was put back on the pill until I was 30, like 35 and a half. Um, so doing the math, that was 20 years of being on or on a contraceptive. So that 7 years that I was on the copper IUD, I thought I was doing good for my body, and what you will find out in this podcast is that I was not doing good for my body. So, anywho, fast forward to now. I'm 37, and me and my husband finally have decided that we'd like to have a kid because I went off birth control. So I guess I should talk about that for a second. I went off birth control my own self, knowing this is not good. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel right. It took me a while to get there. It took me a long time to get to the place where I felt educated enough to make that decision. And what was I going to do without any birth control in my system, being sexually active with a partner that we at the time didn't want to have kids, which is a whole nother thing I can unravel for you. But birth control does a really good job of it also inhibiting our natural hormonal desire to have children, to procreate. It actually dampens that whole internal desire based off of hormones and chemicals, and that's how we're designed. It's really beautiful. That's how we came into this world, and that's how we should keep it because there's a reason for us to be fertile and for us to want to create new life on this planet, to procreate. So there's a very big purpose in that. And it's just, it's take it for leave it, take it or leave it for what it's worth. But it's very interesting that what we're put on at a very young age just totally can dampen that desire within us. So I went off birth control, and very shortly after that, like, I didn't go off birth control to get pregnant. I went off birth control to be healthy in my body, to get back to my own natural state, my natural hormonal state. And in turn, it got me really wanting to get pregnant. And it also got my husband like really thinking about having kids. Now, we also have a couple of factors in life that have shifted a little bit that have allowed us to maybe entertain having kids for the first time in a different way than we ever had before. Um, but I think a lot of it had to do with me getting off birth control and us just being in the natural hormonal, pheromonal state of life and rhythm of life and how we're supposed to organically move through this life with what we were given um, by God or creator, whatever you want to call it. But anywho, so when I birth control, started desiring to have a child. So about a year ago in June, because this is now May 3rd that I'm recording this, but in June, we officially stopped, I stopped really like tracking my cycles so strictly, and we stopped using condoms during my ovulation window, which that's a whole nother conversation. But females out there that are listening to this that are cycling, if you want to go off birth control, it is so possible. And there are so many educational resources on via podcasts, via websites for fertility awareness method and cycle syncing or cycle tracking. So there's apps now because we love technology. There's apps now that will help you with this, where you can literally just input your data. There's data that you're going to collect. Like, I could go into detail, but there's going to be data about your body that changes throughout the month when you're not on birth control that you will collect, and you can put it in an app, and the app will tell you when you're on your ovulation window. And I mean, that's a whole nother podcast in itself. But before I went off birth control, I educated myself thoroughly in how I wanted to approach being off a contraceptive like that, where I don't have to think as hard. I just take a pill. It's very no brainer. It also is very disconnecting from your actual body and your actual, it's very lack of ownership over what is actually happening in the most important part, one of the most important parts of our body, the reproductive system. So it's something else I really realized going off birth control was, wow, I really checked out of that feminine part of me that is so important, and that gives us so much information truly once you start unraveling what is in each part of your cycle, because there's 4 phases of your actual cycle. Sorry, I could go on so many tangents with this, so hopefully it's not getting too muddled. Um, but yeah, it really, going off the pill really allowed me to reflect, wow, I've been really disconnected from myself. I just totally checked out from that part of my female body that I was given. It is a very intelligent part of my human body that I was given that's uniquely female. So that was very interesting. So we started deciding we want to get pregnant, want off birth control. Anyways, fast forward last June, we officially stopped using the condoms and we started just trying, but not really like trying, not being psycho about it, just like trying. And we thought it'd be easy. We thought, oh, we're healthy. Actually, I won't say pretty. We're healthy. Like, we're active people. We eat well. We eat really well. We eat a balanced diet. We don't have any chronic health conditions. We're healthy, you know? And so we thought it'd be really easy and really quick. And here we are almost a year later, and we still have not had success. So I am 37. My husband is going to be 40 in a couple months. And I just want to say that for the fact of, as we go through this podcast, I will kind of I think I will dismantle the age being an issue. But I did want to preface all of this with, like, we are up there in age. And so, you know, that story of like being too old to conceive is definitely out there. I do not think it's valid anymore after what I've learned, but I do want to preface it with that. So, or I do want to throw that in there as a fact for your digestion. So, anywho, being the inquiring, curious mind that I am about anything that's going on with our health, I don't settle for surface level, and I don't go for the easy option, which is walk into a doctor's office, have them tell you what's wrong with you, get diagnosed, get prescribed. That is the easy option. And that's spoken from a nurse. I understand a lot about the healthcare system. I understand how it works. I've seen how it works. I've operated in it. And that is not for me. It can be for you, and that is totally fine. And there's no judgment. But for me, I'm not settling for surface level, and I'm also not settling for being a part of the pharmaceutical industry, because that is just a hamster wheel that you don't ever really get out of until you really choose to take that hard left turn and and do things on your own, which is not easy. And that's the road that I'm traveling. And so I love the knowledge that I have about the healthcare system, and I love the knowledge that I have as a nurse about the human body, because that does inform so many of my decisions. So I do appreciate that contrast that I do have, very much. So no throwing any diss to that. I do appreciate it deeply. Hold on, I'm going to take a little drink. So we're not getting pregnant. I'm like, what the heck's going on? So naturally, I draw my female lab work. So I use a company called Let's Get Checked, or the other one I used was, man, there was another one I used and I can't remember it now. But anyways, they're independent lab companies that you can essentially do your blood work at home and send it into them, and then you get the results back. You can talk with a healthcare professional through their website if it's results that you can't digest on your own. That option is there. I like to just get the results and then go with it from there. So I've used those. I've used Let's Get Checked, and I'll come up with the other one in a little bit. I cannot think of the name of it, but I use them frequently to do labs on just overall our general health. And like I said, for this one, the fertility labs. So I got my fertility panels drawn. It reflected that I appeared to be in pre ovarian failure. I, um, which involves estrogen being off a little bit, LH, FSH. And I'm definitely not going to speak to those on a professional level because that isn't my profession. I just know that the results indicated um, what looked like pre-ovarian failure. So got those labs. I was like, man, wow, this is crazy. So I'm like, I've been off birth control for over a year now because I went off in October. So a year and a half now, almost going on 2 years this October. So I'm thinking, this must be out of my system. Like, what's going on? This is weird. I don't have any other symptoms that would indicate pre-ovarian failure, like premenopausal symptoms might be things that you would experience, like night sweats and hot flashes and losing your hair and things like that. I wasn't experiencing any of those things. So I was like, man, this is crazy. So I'm just, continuing down my rabbit hole, my research. I'm a big well, I'm just a big digger. I'm just digging everywhere. So, I'm Googling and thankful for my knowledge because I am able to like kind of decipher things on Google and not just like read everything verbatim for what it is, like as it is, that it's gold and that's what I have, which is sometimes a problem with Google is that if you don't have any basis, then knowledge, then you can just read you have cancer and you have cancer without being able to sift through um, the different nuances that are out there with certain lab results and things like that and complexities of illnesses. So anyways, I got led onto on YouTube. I was following a couple people for fertility and just more like natural people that were doing meditations and hypnotherapy work. And so I was trying that. And in that process, I was turned on to homeopathy. So fertility home from a homeopathic perspective. And I have never really like known about homeopathy. I kind of knew of tinctures and using herbs and teas for healing things and treating illnesses, but I really didn't know about homeopathic medicine using remedies. And I can't 100% really professionally speak to what homeopathy is, but um, but but what I learned from listening to a particular YouTuber called the Fertility Homeopath is her YouTube channel name, and I will link that in the description of this show in case you're on this journey and you're in the same similar place as I am and you would like to know resources. I will try to link everything that I've discussed in the notes. So I got connected with this fertility homeopath, and she spoke about birth control. And for some reason, birth control just was out of my mind. I had not really thought about birth control being a factor because I'm thinking I'm almost 2 years off of it, and this is out of my system. It shouldn't even be affecting me now. Well, totally the opposite. So this is where the bomb really got dropped, and my world exploded, so to speak, as far as this journey goes. So the fertility homeopath spoke about doing a birth control detox because birth control, it doesn't just exit the body after you're done taking it. It leaves an imprint on your hormonal system, and that can be there for life. Hence, well, hence why I appear to be in premature ovarian failure. There's also other things linked to that that I will go into in a minute when I connect with the next part of the story. So anywho, she got me really looking into this homeopathic. She's like, you can do a homeopathic detox. That's the best way to detox birth control out of your body is using homeopathy. And so I started down the rabbit hole of trying to buy this. So I'm a person too that will just like tackle any of this on my own. So I'm just like, okay, where can I buy this? How can I do it? I'm ready to go. I'm gonna do it, and I'm just like ready to do it, not knowing anything about the seriousness to it or any of that. I'm just thinking I can do it, I can tackle it, I'm ready to go. So I get onto this homeopathic website and I try to buy the birth control detox kit, and I'm not allowed to. They write me an email and they say you need to work with a practitioner, a homeopath, to do this detox because it is quite complex and intense. And so I'm like, "Oh, okay. This is interesting. All right." So they sent me 2 homeopaths to reach out to, and once I get connected with the homeopath, then I can order the kit and yada yada through them. So I reach out to I mean, I really can't tell you why I reached out other than maybe she was the first one listed in the 2 that they gave me. I truly don't remember what the reason why I chose this particular homeopath to work with, but I reached out to this homeopath, Kari Kindom, and I will link her website in the show notes below. I reached out to her and I emailed her and just told her that I was curious about doing this birth control detox and I tried to buy the kit and they wouldn't let me. So can she give them permission? like, yeah, all you have to do is just say she can have it, right? So no, actually. So I get a call pretty quickly that day from her. And she is such a super knowledgeable person in this field, practitioner in this field. And my dream is to have her on someday on this podcast to just speak to this wealth of knowledge that she has and this issue that is really plaguing our society. But anywho, I pick up the phone, we chat, and she just totally unloads so much information. And what she explained, which is very interesting, is that the way that birth control works in our bodies is with copper. So it has high levels of copper in it, which when you ingest copper into your body, not only does it throw off other minerals and the uptake of other minerals and vitamins within your body, mainly trace minerals. So not only does it really mess with that, but also it dampens your um, estrogen, which or your whole I can't say it dampens. It interferes with your hormonal balances, your hormonal rhythms, your hormones in general. And so that allows us to not technically produce a mature egg and ovulate every month, but it allows us to still have a bleed because it allows the progesterone to still do what it's doing in your body to then not harness a healthy egg and then bleed. So just a quick nutshell of what's going on, but that's a very brief description of what's going on when we ovulate every month and then have a period and shed. But basically, the copper is acting on our hormonal system. That is the mechanism of action of birth control. And so, not only is it messing up our minerals, it's messing up our hormones, and then also it's in such large amounts in our bodies that our bodies can't keep up with, you know, maintaining this healthy homeostasis balance of copper to other elements and other minerals in our bodies. So our body does, because it doesn't know what else to do with it, is it starts to store it places. So one of our main storage sites is our liver. So it goes to our liver first. And then say you're on birth control for like, I see, I don't know how long for everybody's bodies. It may be different depending on your liver function, depending on how much your liver can handle. But once it stops storing in the liver, the next spot is your brain. And then after that, I believe it goes to the kidneys. But so your body's now storing this copper and it's just holding on to it because it doesn't know what else to do with it, doesn't know how to excrete it in a normal fashion like your body does every day, divinely guided. Our bodies are amazing. And so it knows how to take care of it on a normal level. But when you're taking birth control, you're getting a higher level. Now go back to me getting the IUD put in. So what I learned about that was not only was it copper, which does have it does kill the sperm, it does debilitate the sperm, and that's the whole point of how it works. But also, it's situated in your cervix, which is very closely situated to your portal vein that connects to your liver. It's a massive vein that leads to your liver. Um, so this copper from the IUD that's sitting in my cervix next to this portal vein is dumping copper, all this level, like this extreme level of copper, up through the portal vein directly into my liver. So that little beautiful little IUD that I thought I was doing such good things for my body with was actually like one of the most detrimental ways to use birth control in the sense of copper and in the realm of talking about copper. So that was a fun fact to learn. It flipped everything on its head for me. And let me just get set. So yeah, so she broke down this copper phenomenon. And I invite you, any of you that are curious about this, that are now curious. So basically, most people that are on birth control have been on birth control for a long time. And if you have copper pipes, if you drink city water, possibly you might have higher levels of copper. Um, Depending on where you get your foods, they use some form of copper. I want to say sulfate to help against diseases and bacterias on the food. So it's in that source as well. So we're kind of getting inundated already with copper, sometimes in our environment, but then add the birth control in, and now we are seeing a crazy issue with copper toxicity. And the way that it presents and can present as hidden copper toxicity. So anyways, I won't digress too much. But if you want to look up copper toxicity, just type in YouTube and you will find tons of people, doctors, professionals, speaking on copper toxicity and where it comes from and how it affects us. And so the really crazy thing that she explained to me was like when you become pregnant and then you're about to deliver your baby in the third trimester of carrying a baby, we are dumping so much through the um, umbilical cord into the baby in interchanging our blood, and so much from our blood, or so much copper is being dumped from our bodies into these babies along with heavy metals. So another thing she's unpacking for me is the vaccines that we've received in our lifetime. Specifically, the Gardasil vaccine has the highest amount of aluminum out of any of the vaccines that we've ever received. So I don't know where any of you stand on vaccines. I allow you to stand wherever you feel comfortable. No pressure, no persuasion. Just letting you know that the amount of the amount of chemicals and heavy metals in vaccines is real. I did a vaccine calculator through this process with her, where I listed all the vaccines that I'd gotten since childhood, and it broke it down into each category of what was in my body. So I could probably go get that for you to show you, but it's got so much in it. Um, Pause. I will go get that. Oh, I actually just got my whole folder so I can share with you some of the things. So I had to do so anyways, for this process, I will explain a little bit. So, you know, anyways, I'll just explain before I digress into all the little things. um, so started working. So I had my first conversation with her. She explained this copper issue, um, and when we're pregnant and we give birth to a baby, we are dumping all of these heavy metals and copper into this baby. So now this goes directly to the baby's brain. Their other organs are not mature enough to store the copper, so it goes directly to their brain. So this is the increased rise of babies that are born with autism right off the bat, nonverbal um, babies that are born with autism. This is a leading rise to males not able to identify as males because their hormones are being already messed with from the copper that's being dumped into their bodies during birth. They're coming out, they're not identifying as a male because their hormones are already being messed with. It leads to hyperactivity in the brain. So these babies are really fussy, they're really hard to care for. They're just a hyperactive little kid, and it can lead to more of a depressive state in females. So, as everything, I think, in our healthcare system, there's a root cause. There's always a root cause. It's not like we just had an increase in autistic kids out of nowhere, or we've had an increase in ADHD in little children out of nowhere, like just this poof happening. It's you got to look deeper always. So I feel that this really explains a lot. And the other facet that I really wanted to touch back on is and well, let me just preface by saying this. So she explained to me that because the copper in my body is throwing all my other minerals off, I had to do a hair mineral analysis test to um, to determine where everything was at, where all my levels were at. And that is really the only definitive way to test and get accurate tests of your copper levels in your body, because your blood test will always reflect. So this is very important. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I'm just curious, I'm on birth control. Let me take a blood test and see where my minerals are at and my trace elements and or trace minerals and vitamins are at. And you do that blood test. That blood test is always going to show you a healthy, well, not always, but it will probably show you a healthy uh, number value. And that's because our body, every day, a blood test is a snapshot of that day. And so that is your body doing its job very well to keep your blood levels where they should be. And that's the body's job. So that if you get that test back and your copper levels look good and all your minerals look good, that's great. I had done that test shortly after I stopped birth control and everything looked great. I was doing it for dietary reasons, just to check in and see how things were doing in my body. Everything was great. Even my copper level, my vitamin D, everything looked great, but not accurate. So the hair mineral analysis test, you take a hair sample and you send it off, and because your hair is literally your cells emerging from your body, you're giving them the root, like you're only giving them the first like inch of your hair, so you're giving them from the root out, and that is showing them, and that is showing a picture of 3 months what's going on a cellular level, which is super cool. So that is the go-to test if you want to look into any of this information for yourself. It's like a $200 test. I can link the site for you. But I will say that if you do this hair mineral analysis test, it is a lot of information to digest that you might not even, it's a lot. It's a lot to process. So there's other doctors, and I can try to find the YouTube with this one doctor that she'll do the test for like $300, and she's an expert in reading hair mineral analysis tests and giving advice. So you could work with somebody like that, where you're paying her $100 to interpret your test and then give you guidance. And that's what I suggest, because the company will send you, after you do the test, the company will send you supplements that they want you to go on to help to balance things out. And so you could buy those and do those, and life goes on. And then you could retest in 3 to 6 months and then see where you're at. And you can do that. You can totally do that. But if you wanted to work with the guidance of a professional, there are, and I will find this one professional that I heard speak on YouTube about the hair mineral analysis test. I will find her information and link it in the show notes so that if you would like to use that, you could. So, needless to say, okay. So I had to do the hair mineral analysis test to figure out where my minerals were at. And then I also did, like I was saying, going back to the vaccines, the heavy metals. I just wanted to show you, if you are watching, um, just the report that comes out that shows you the amounts of, so this is all my vaccines that I had taken. This is the list of all the stuff that's in there. Aluminum, don't even know what that is, formaldehyde, antibiotics, glyphosate, um, yeah, polysorbate. Um, I'm just going to read you the categories. I don't know what this is. Oh, MSG, um, live virus in the vaccine, aborted fetal tissue, 3 different columns, and then foreign DNA. Um, I had Vero African green monkey kidney at a level of 3. Phenols, ureas, and latex. So that was what I had to do to figure out how many heavy metals were in my body, after I'd received 36 vaccines, in my lifetime. So that was given to her so that now she knows what direction to go with my detox. So I'll lead to that part now. So, homeopathy, although I cannot speak to exactly how it works, I will try to link a video that might explain it a little bit better. But what it is, it's these little either sugar or salt balls, they're like little tiny balls that they have taken compounds that exist in our environment. It can be anything. It could be like tissue, it could be a plant, it could be a virus, it could be a bacteria. Um, I've even heard that they can take the essence of like x-rays and what other like ultrasounds. If you're exposed to a lot of ultrasounds, like they can infuse these tablets with the essence, with the actual materials. They distill it down to such a small amount that you're ingesting this small amount of X, Y, and Z, um, whatever you're trying to heal with it. And it allows your body to take it in and it allows your body to intrinsically identify it. And then it's on such a small level that it allows your body to heal that aspect that may be causing you illness or, yeah, trouble. So it can be used for emotions, it can be used for migraines, it can be used to chronic illnesses. What I'm using it for is to detox birth control. So I started working with this homeopathic doctor, and I'll lead up to that part. So, as you could tell, we've done a very thorough intake. So, I've done my hair mineral analysis test, I've done the vaccine report. I had to give her a very detailed chronological history of my childhood up until current of illnesses or antibiotics that I was on, x rays that I've had, traumas that I've had, anything like that. So, it's really, truly fascinating. And I am currently on only week 2. So I can't wait to update on this journey. So I just first wanted to speak on it in case anybody's out there, sort of dealing with something similar. I kind of wanted to just get this out there and speak to it. And I'd love to follow up as I finish this 10-week journey. So I am detoxing the birth control by taking small versions of, I want to say versions, I'm not sure what the right word is, small essences. And they may have, I'm not sure how they create it. I wish I knew more. I do. It makes it sound crazy. But to me, doing this is a way healthier alternative than doing IVF or artificial insemination or any of those other routes are to me, or honestly, taking the hormones or I'm not sure what their exact names are, but I know that you can go on hormonal things that help produce lots of eggs and have a crazy egg surge so that you can get pregnant. And I know that people have success with that. I absolutely know that that is a successful way to go about this, but we don't know the repercussions. We truly don't know. And so imagine that I'm on birth control. I have all this amount of copper in my body and I go into a doctor and I say I'm having infertility issues and they put me on something that helps, my eggs be more productive and I get pregnant. Now, I'm going to dump all this copper, all these heavy metals, all these toxins into my baby from my body at birth. And now this child, some people have very healthy children and don't ever experience that. But I can't imagine what this child might be like if I had taken that route with the amount of copper that could be in my body and heavy metals. So it's just food for thought. Um, and there's no shame to anybody that's taken that route. Truly, I get it. I get it's the easy. It's not only the easy fix, but it's the one that's in our faces. It's the thing that you hear about. I won't say the most, but if you're gonna go look up infertility on Google, you're gonna get that answer before you get homeopathic detox or birth control. That's a very specialized, it's a very off the beaten path, I should say, um, way to go about this. So I get it. And I am purely just putting this out there so that there is a piece of information out there for people to identify with, to access, to feel empowered if that so strikes you. To go out and choose the alternative path if you so choose, and to dig a little deeper, because it's now kind of my belief and where I kind of connected some dots that what a brilliant plan to put us all on birth control. Don't educate us about our bodies at an early young age. What a brilliant plan to do that. And then to have this really fruitful IVF infertility industry now. It's just very interesting. And I also have to wonder about the age, circling back to that, because I also have to wonder if most of us are waiting until we're later to have children. And because of that, we're doing the birth control method because that's what's so easily and readily available. And that's what we are, um, most of us, that is our only option, that we believe because we haven't been educated any other type of way. Um, so you're on birth control for a large portion of your life until you decide, oh, I'm ready to have kids. I'm now 35 plus. We'll just use the statistical number of infertile, is like the 35 is the hot year when you become like unable to have children or whatever the heck the message is out there, but we'll just say 35. So you get to that 35-year-old age, you stop your birth control, you're ready to have kids, and you're in the same boat I am, right? I really think it has nothing to do with age at all. I think it truly has to do with all that I've been talking about in this podcast and solely the birth control. So, interesting dots that I've connected that at first had me feeling resentful, once again, to this healthcare system that leaves us more broken than it found us and more uneducated than educated. Um, so, yeah, I don't want to be too Debbie Downer on that. But um, I guess to sum it all up, I am on week 2 of this birth control detox, and it is quite extensive. And it includes a bunch of supplements, to help with my minerals and to help start detoxing the copper out of my body. Because once my cells and my body can naturally come into harmony with the nutrient or with the minerals, um, that are out of balance, once they can come back into balance, and then the copper will start coming out of my tissues because now my body can release it because everything else is homeostasis. It's everything else is happy. It doesn't need to like sort anything else out. It's all in balance, and now the copper can start leaving my body. So I'll be detoxing the copper that way through bringing the minerals into balance, and, my husband's on the same thing, same protocol. He's being treated as well, for his minerals and also homeopathically for some things. So that's really beautiful. And the homeopathic remedies include, the birth control detox. I'm doing stuff for my organs, for my adrenal glands. If you haven't heard of cell salts, I encourage you to go look those up. Those are fascinating. Literally, cell salts that are specific to our cells and the expression of different things within our body from these cells being out of sorts and not in balance. So, things like wrinkles on your face, spots on your face, teeth issues, eye issues. Like it's really interesting. So, go look up cell salts. At the very least, they're super easy. You just put them in water and it's no big deal. If you wanted to start something, you could start that. That information is out there. Um, and yeah, I will be doing this a variation of this detox, for 10 weeks. So it will end July 7th. And I would love to check back in and let you all know what I experienced, how it went, um, any more information that I've learned. And like I said, I would really love to bring on Kari, my homeopath, at some point to just chat about the information that she has. She is literally a wealth of knowledge. She's been doing this for over 20 years, detoxed lots and lots and lots of women, from all various ages, not just women that are going through infertility issues, but also women that have come to her with breast cancer, ovarian cancer, all sorts of cancers that are affecting their bodies because of things like estrogen dominance, which is another byproduct of being on birth control. And that's another thing you could look, another topic you could look up, estrogen dominance, to learn a little bit more about that. But that's what kind of feeds the cancers in our bodies. So, um, yeah, so I think that is kind of it for today. I hope that wasn't too long winded. I appreciate if you stayed all the way through this. And uh, I hope that you follow the triggers. So if this triggered you in any type of way, positively or negatively, I encourage you to follow those triggers because triggers are always our sign to peek in, see what's going on there, or continue with curiosity. If it's a positive trigger, you know, continue with your curiosity. If it's a negative trigger, open that door a little bit more and just check out why it's so negatively triggering for you. Um, I am here. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can do so in the comments or you could send an email. I'm not sure if our email is linked, but I will link an email address that you could email me at if you have any questions. And yeah, I hope this lands somewhere for you all. And until next time and the update, I appreciate your time and sending love to you all out there. Thank you so much. Until next time.